giving you thanks for the many blessings that you provide to us each and every day. Lord, we ask that you watch over this meeting tonight, give each one of us up your guidance, give each one of us the power to do the best ability, the best thing that we can do for the city of Howe and its residents. Lord, we just thank you again for this opportunity. We just ask that you watch over us. We come to you in prayer.
Now it's time for the public request. Ms. Hash. And I'd like to remind you, you have 3 minutes to address the council on your issue.
It will not take me that long. I'm the service unit manager for Grayson County through Girl Scouts. And there are 3 things that I wanted to inform each of you. One is that we're having our rally for Howe this Monday at the cafeteria at the elementary school. Those of you who cannot attend that rally, we will be having one for Grayson County, which is September 14th. It is in Sherman at the Girl Scout office, which is right across from Kentucky Fried Chicken. It'll be from 10 until 2. The third issue is that Girl Scouts are known for the community service, and we're offering our service to any and every aspect that Howe may need. So if any of the governments, or churches, or schools need some girls to help in anything, be sure and call the Girl Scouts.
Thank you, Ms. Hash. What time is the rally at the school?
I'm sorry,
What
at
time
the school at 7 o'clock.
7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Departmental report, city administrator.
The county got the streets that we had on the list resurfaced. They used a new oil, and it worked. It stuck to the road this time. So they did a pretty good job. We had a little miscommunication in ordering the rocks and stuff, so we got a little bit of rock left over, but it's good rock and we can use it. So it's just going to be stored for a while. We can stockpile it for next year. But the roads turned out good shape. It'll be shot.
Thank you. Move on to a discussion item. Tim Hagen.
Yeah. What I wanted to do was to revisit the thing that we discussed the other night, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to commend Chief Kesey on his efforts to relocate the Howe Police Department. As I've talked to him and mentioned to him that I really I disagree with 2 elements of what has been proposed, and that's basically the fact that it will require 2 moves. It'll require 2 major moves. It'll require the move of the city offices down to the community center, and then it'll require the police department to move over here. And our first estimates are that it's going to take quite a bit more money than the 17,000. Was it 300 or something like that? Proposed 500. And what I would suggest is that we rethink the original proposal and just move the police department down there. Now, I know Jerry brought that up at our last meeting, but I think that we weren't thinking what it might take. And basically, as I talked to the chief, I said, well, look, why don't you just go ahead and propose whatever space you need down there. In other words, take the SNAP Center and what other additional space do you need to accommodate the police department so that they would have the same amount of space they have now. It would be less than what they would have if they came over here, because this is a much bigger area. But that's what I would suggest. And the thing that does is it basically we only take one major move that way, and that's the police department whenever they are able to do that. And I think we certainly would be able to stay within that $17,500 figure that the insurance company has paid us or is going to pay us. So, if the council decides to go ahead and revisit this and revise the solution, then I would ask that the chief just redraw his proposal to make sure he has the proper amount of space down in the community center. and put all the dimensions on there needed. And then revisit the estimates. The estimates, I don't know how good they were for how long, but I think the estimates will probably stay about the same. So that's the only thing I wanted to do, is suggest that we, instead of trying to do two major moves, is to go ahead and do one move, put the police, relocate the police department down there, and take whatever space we need down there, plus the SNAP Center, to accommodate the police department. And then there's going to be some additional stuff that would be required to make it secure. And I think the chief's got a good handle on it. So that's really all I have to say. You need to direct it to her.
Just a moment, Mr. Sharp.
So that's the only discussion I have that I would.
Is there any further discussion from the council? We'll move on to old business. Old business first item is approved construction of city offices at the Howe Community Center, 700 West Hanning, and moving of the police department to the present city offices at 116 East Hanning. Mr. Sharp, you're first to address the council.
I'd like to ask one question on what he said. He said considerable more. How much more for moving two moves?
Oh, it wouldn't be more. It would not be more.
To move city down there
No.
and chief here.
Oh,
How much
well,
more would it be? You said considerable more a while ago.
I think we were talking about the low side was about 25,000. That was the low side.
Not more,
Or
right?
30.
The total was 25.
Yeah, the 30 total move was
So
about
$7,000 or $8,000.
Yeah, I would, I don't know. It would be something like that.
And what I want to say, I'm in support of moving City Hall down there, because this town is growing in a hurry, growing fast now, and City Hall's going to need a lot more than what they got here. And my understanding is there's a lot more room down there, and move the police department in here. And I think if you took a public view in town, I got 13 voting members in town in my family, and they all feel that way. And the ME's drinking coffee every morning and evening. Everybody I talk to says the same thing. So.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Jimmy?
Well, the reason I think City Hall should be down there, it's a very easy spot for people coming to this town to find. And I fully believe that Highway 75 is going to be Howe. Downtown may be something, but it won't be the downtown of Howe in the future. And I think our City Hall needs to be centralized right there where it's easy to find, and people don't have to come down to a town that looks like it's falling down. They drive up to a nice place, they got plenty of parking and everything.
Thank you, Mr.
Plus, down there, you have a bigger room to have your meetings, have your court sessions and everything. It's just a better move, that we move City Hall down where people know where it's at when they drive it down.
Thank you. Ms. Scarborough?
Well, who's looking at my mean, I don't think so. But anyway, I believe it's his idea. Make that the center point, because it is. And I've been here 3 years, and I still cringe when I lie down here and say, this is where I live, and I live out in Western Hills. So maybe if they get the City Hall out there, and they could see what we need out there, that we could do better, and the police department would be next to the fire department. And they really work good together. And y'all aren't, I guess you're involved in it, that was a stupid thing to say. But I just am in favor of having the police here in City Hall down there. And I've got a lot of friends that didn't show up. They all say, well, that's a good idea. Well, that's what they're doing. They're sitting at home with a mountain gun.
Well, I concur with what everyone said so far, and I've got to compliment somebody. They put a bulletin down on the bulletin board at ME's that there's a city council meeting tonight. That's great. Let people know. and it's paid off a little bit, I think, because there's a lot of people running. I agree with Sam that one move would be cheaper, but I disagree with him. I think the city council ought to be down here in the community center, and I think the police ought to be right over here, right next door to the fire department, because they're a team thing. They're both to serve and protect. City council's down there, city hall down there to collect the water bill and so forth. So I concur with what everyone has said so far. And something mentioned, I believe you mentioned it, I think it's Channel 12 was down here the other day, you know, taking some pictures. And what's the first thing they show? This old falling down building over here, and they run into the police department. I'd much rather see them when they come into town go down here to a decent looking building that when they put it on the news, well, they say, hey, that's a nice place down there in Howe, you know. And what they're showing right now is not. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, both of you have anything?
I just agree with everything that everybody's saying. I think though it needs to get managed, whether it's here or down there, they need to get managed. Because it is awful up there.
Did you say you just agree or you disagree with
I
everything?
agree.
Okay. I agree.
Mr. Heston, do you have anything else to add?
Well, I'm not in cahoots with anybody.
We save the best for last.
I will say this. It was, y'all said something about me, I think the last time we was down there when we met. Wasn't too many people meeting. 6 o'clock is a little early. You know, some people might come to the meeting if it was just a shade later, because if you're working.
Thank you. Can we go on that now?
If you're working, I mean, I don't come here because I will take care of business. I've got y'all up here to take care of my business for me. But anyhow, it would be maybe a little, you might get a little more participation in the meeting if it were just a little later. I don't know how late y'all meet. I don't, we used to have to stay at 12 o'clock sometimes. In fact, we didn't have any problems. But I would just consider this. You ought to do what financially you're able to do as first. Then I would say that have you considered the fact we were talking about maybe just moving police departments down there and all stand up here? Do you think if you did that, later on you're going to have to move the police department again? Because definitely you're going to have more room here. Sooner or later y'all going to have to move. And do you think it would be better just to do it now if it's affordable than to move the police department down there for a few years and then have to move them again? And that's all I was thinking about it, is, you know, this extra moving we're talking about. But I'm for whatever y'all decide to do.
Thank you, Mr. Heston. I also have 2 cards from Charlene Lewis that is in support of this, and also Carol Bragg.
Can we respond?
During the discussion, we can.
That we can discuss it now.
I know. We need to approve construction of city offices at the Howe Community Center, 700 West Tanning, and move the police department to the present city offices at 116 East County. Do I have a motion?
Diane, can we continue discussing, or you're going to say we're going to wait for the motion here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve what's been presented to us from the original plan for Chief Peters.
Do I have a second?
Are you deciding now or later on what's going to be?
The motion has been made, and we're waiting for a second.
From one of them?
Yes, ma'am. Is there another motion that would like to be made?
Well, I would like to make the motion that we go ahead and make the one move, the police department down to the community center and ask the chief to relook at that and see what he needs down there and come up with a proposal, just like he did before, the space that he needs. Okay, so I can't say anything else until we get a second.
Say your motion one more time.
You know, I'm getting old, Mark. I can say it one time. No, basically, the motion is to make the one, leave City Hall here, take the police department, put it down in the SNAP center, and whatever else space that the chief needs, that he would come up with a new outline there, or a new plan.
So he doesn't necessarily make the move, but he goes in and gets an understanding of what he needs to move.
We could say we're making that move, but what I would like him to do is to, come up with a plan.
Chief Keaton.
I've already done that one time, I did, Jerry, and the price was $25,000. It's the exact same floor plan that we had for the city hall to go down there. All we're doing is just using one office that we would be building for a file room, which I think said about file room. It's going to take the same space, exact same space we were going to use. And it was going to be basically the construction price will be the same, because we're using the same walls, same countertops, the same new rooms, same offices that we're going to build that we would normally build for the city hall to be down there. So you're looking at basically the same amount of money, and that's in the price range of about $25,000.
Well, actually, it wouldn't be the same amount of money. It would be something less, because it would be we wouldn't be moving this. Okay, and that was included.
You got your safe room you got to build too. That's going to be more.
Well, in any event, it would be one move. What I would like to do is to get estimates, competitive bids, if you will, with a clear understanding of what is required to do that.
We've done all the bid work, haven't we?
Well, it's the bid work of what he's got down there, and there was a custom countertops and stuff like that, which would not need to be.
Because the bid work for the construction was the walls and the electric and that kind of stuff. And then if we decide to use a custom countertop type setup for the city hall down there, that's fine. But when Jerry wanted a rough estimate of what it would be to move the police department down there, well, we don't need a countertop. It's $4,000. So that's been eliminated, and that money's been rolled back in for the extra construction for the back area back there, which includes one office, 2 interrogation rooms, and building a safe room for our property, our dope, and our guns. Actually, you get to the same floor space with the same construction, the same walls and everything. So that price is almost exactly the same.
Well, and I don't dispute that the numbers are kind of rough anyway. But what I would like to do is if we do just the one move, that we come up with a basic plan. Now, he's already drawn that out. Okay. What I would like to do is flesh that out and get a quote for that, because obviously this changes. Even though we have some word of mouth agreement, if you've ever had someone that comes in and does any construction, you better know what you're doing, and you better have it nailed down. And that's all I'm asking. And so my proposal is that we move the police department down there. To know exactly how much it's going to be, obviously, the rough estimate is $25,000, which is a little over, $2,500 or $7,500 over $17,500. And I'm not convinced of that it's going to take that much.
We're getting $17,000.
Yes, 17.
Right, yeah, 75 left, cost of the city is what they're.
I'm not convinced that it would be $25,000, but I am convinced that he's going to need more space down there than just the so that we will have to incorporate part of the community center in it. He will have to construct a property room, an evidence room. That's obvious, that construction down there is not going to accommodate that, or it's not there. He'd have to construct it. He'd have to put new doors in that are able to understand whatever it needs to say.
Do you have that information with you?
That's already been done. When I did it for Jerry, I sat down with the contractor that originally gave us the lowest bid to do just the city hall without the file room and stuff being down there. And then that was added later if need be. Same floor space, exactly. Using the exact same walls, the exact same hallways that we figured, so that if they wanted to use, if it needed to be used for community center or whatever, they can move down the hallways, use the bathrooms, that kind of stuff. The offices in the back would be my office and then 2 interrogation office rooms. And then our space back there for just general conference area. But like I say, that's all that price is the same. And just like I said the last time, what I would do is as soon as we decide what we're going to do, then I sit back down with the contractor, detail out everything that needs to be done, and get a positive fixed figure of what it's going to be.
You know, and I don't disagree with that. That's what when I want something definite on whatever the plan is. I might say that I'm not in disagreement with whatever's been said by these others. You know, that hey, the center of town is going to shift, and it probably has already shifted to some degree. However, what I would like to do is I would like to put a little thought in. What is the city of Howe's city hall going to look like? And whether that's three years down the road, or 5 years, or 10 years, obviously there's going to have to be a city hall that there's going to have, if you want to call it a municipal building or whatever, there's going to have to be one built. What I would like to do is I would like to sit down and think about that. Whoever's on the council at that time, whoever is in the city at that time, will have input. But I don't think we need to rush into this and say we're going to do that and have 2 disruptive moves. That's my concern.
Sam, the only concern I have with that is, I know obviously we're going to have to build something in the future, but I mean, we're out of room right here in the very council meeting we're having right now. We've got people standing up, but we don't have room.
We can always move our meetings down there. It's very easy.
We can. We've addressed several issues with that, having to shuffle things back and forth. To me, in my opinion, there's a bigger security risk for the police department being in that building with the community center being in there, because you have a more influx of people there, a higher traffic rate of people in there. Whereas if this was the police department, it's a more secure environment. I mean, there's not as much people coming and going.
Well, actually, there is some discussion about that. The reason for using it is because there's no activity down there.
No activity.
That was
there's activity, but I strongly agree with you that we're going to have to build something in the future, but what we have right now, being the city hall here and the police department down there, is going to last until then. What are we going to do in a couple of years when both offices have put on more employees and don't have room for them?
Well, Steve asked me that question. I says, well, you'll just have to deal with it. That's what you have to do. And there's some room, there's some offices in here not being used yet.
But
One day a week, maybe.
I use my office pretty regularly.
Just let you share it, desk, okay? But
I
no,
also would like to make a comment of, I mean, the city council have been, I mean, we've got buildings over there that we have employees that shouldn't be in, and we need to do something. Whatever it is that we decide and the city decides, we need to do something.
My input is that the lady running, or whoever run into the police office did not trigger us to go in and build a complex. And so my input is we need to, and I think the SNAP Center, from looking at, I mean, I saw what the front stuff did, but had nothing to do with what happened to the back. The SNAP Center is better as it is than what what we currently have. And for $17,000 put into that, I mean, I would think that you'd be way ahead of what you already have. So my input is that we take the money that we get for that, put whatever the move is, just use $17,000 and that's it for it. We've got a lot of expenditures that are coming up. I mean, we've got a lot of rainy days that are coming that we've got to be careful on how we spend our money right now. So to me, I'd like to use what we have for that. And I think just looking at it logically is that one move is cheaper than two moves. And so, and SNAP Center is already much better than what the police offices are now, easily, without $17,000. So I think you could take $17,000 and really improve on what SNAP Center has. That's my input.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sharkey, you can address the council at this time.
We have two motions, actually.
There's two motions out right now.
Regardless of the decisions that are made or the motion, we're also going to have to go through our bid process because we're going to be over. We're probably going to be over our maximum, so it won't be as easy as just, we're going to have to advertise it. As far as, it won't be as easy as just calling the contractor.
Right.
And getting this to, so we need to understand that time frame is going to be involved.
Well, we're checking on that legislation just changed. The bid price went to $25,000. We're hear back from the attorney on that.
If they can keep it under that.
Well, they're saying 17,000.
So you understand what my motion was?
I guess I know what you think. I like your motion better than the initial one. Y'all will hear it.
Sam's motion was to move the police to the community center within the $17,000 insurance.
I'll second that motion.
May I say something?
Yes, Chief, can.
I put a pencil up there, it can't be done for $17,000. We can leave out phone systems, we leave out carpet, we can leave out security countertops, but what you're saying for $17,000 can't do it. About the lowest I could probably get it done for is about 21.2 roughly. So.
Sam, do you need to revisit your motion? Or are you going to leave it there?
No, just leave it there.
Okay. The motion has been made and second to move the police to the community center within the $17,000 budget. Mark is second. Is there any further discussion? All four? 4-4. Any against? One against. Motion is passed to move the police station to the community center within the $17,000 budget. Move on to new business. We consider the consent items which are marked by the asterisk. Do you have a motion to approve these?
Take a motion.
Sam, is there a second? Thomas, is there any discussion? All four? 5-4, any against? We need to approve the letter of intent to join the Collin Racing Municipal Alliance. It's in your packet. It's in the form of a resolution. Due to the discussion that we heard back on the 1st, I recommend that we approve this letter of intent to join this.
So moved.
Jerry? Do I have a second? Is there any discussion?
All this is just the intent to join the alliance.
Yes, Mr. Pascal is here to address it tonight, but this is just the intent to join the alliance to get the water.
I'm not looking at what you're looking at, Mayor, but
It's the resolution that you sent joining the
join the alliance, yes.
Yes, sir. I have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All four? 5-4, none against. Next item is approve a payment of a $600 consulting fee to Mr. Pascal of the Collin Grace Municipal Alliance. Or his name we do. He represents the Alliance in getting the things with GTUA, and does all the groundwork and running around and everything that we need to be done to get this water to this area.
This is 1 year's container or something like that?
I believe it's drafted so that it's 2 years, but to expire at the end of December of 2003. It's actually about a year and a half.
Well,
Same form as the other cities.
Okay, that's a 600 is a monthly charge.
Yes.
So we're talking about, go ahead, real quick. 7,200 a year. There you go. I got my calculator in my pocket. But, you know, basically, it's to do whatever is needed on behalf of Howe and the Alliance.
Yes.
And I read this, that entitles us to 4 hours a month.
Yes.
And that's a 10% reflection of what the economy charges.
Yes.
Well, hey.
Mr. Pascal's here, you can.
It's a volume deal, you know. But any additional things that would come up for Howe that we would need to do, that would be additional charge.
Depends on what you need done, Mr. Councilmember. I keep track of hours generally. So far, I've not billed any of the cities more than 4 hours. I've worked an average of probably double that since we started.
We appreciate it.
And that's not the point, what I work or not work. The issue is what we're trying to accomplish with communities. I prefer to work for municipalities over developers. And I've got a number of contracts with municipalities that I work on. And I structured this at a rate that is certainly less than my typical development rate, but it also covers all my overhead. And I mean, I've got to pay everything myself, whereas you're employed, you have a different circumstance than your employer. I'm not trying to justify that to you or anyone else. The reality is I'm trying to accomplish some long-term issues for the communities, and if Howe's interested in being part of that, I'm interested in working with you. I think you have a nice community. I enjoy being in the area. I've been in Collin County for 25 years, and I now spend a lot of time in Grayson County. And we've made this area our home, and that's where we're trying to work. I'd be happy to answer any specific questions that you'd like to have. There are different things that some of the cities have asked me to do for them. I do a variety of different issues. For example, I've worked out an arrangement to negotiate for Anna some development relationships so that they know what they're getting with developers. And I've worked out a mechanism so that rather than Anna having to pay me, we're developing an ordinance so that Anna can pass the cost that the developers incur with me to the developer. They have to pay Anna so that they can pay me. So I'm not looking for the cities for most of my income, but we're trying to do a certain amount, and we think the arrangement seems to be working well for all the cities. In fact, what you're really getting is probably 5 and 6 times the amount of effort that your fee would actually pay. I will tell you that people that have experience that I've got charge a lot of money. I charge cities less than most of them do for a lot of different reasons. And I think what you're paying for is experience, vision, understanding, and to know how to get things done. And I think that with what we've accomplished already on this one project in the last 3.5, 4 months, we've come a long way when nothing was proposed and everybody said nothing could be done. We've got it working. And it's going to happen.
Do you think that this $7,200 will be all that we need to budget for this year?
If I were you, I would hold off on that. I don't know how your budget works. I'm not familiar with your budget. Don't pretend to be. If there's something else specifically that y'all would like some assistance with, I'd be happy to visit with your administrator, your mayor, and let them know kind of what kind of time is involved.
Well,
with that.
I'm concerned about the alliance.
Yes, sir.
The $7,200.
At this point, the alliance, the contracts were all structured. We tried to figure out how many hours it was going to take and put the price at a point where all the small cities could do it. That's really where it came from. The effort that's gone into it has been more than that. It's my expectation and hope that somewhere down the line I'm going to be spending fewer hours on the project than I am right now, but that's okay. I want to get this thing done, and I'm spending whatever it takes to accomplish it. So far, I've not billed anybody except the base fee.
On that last page on the fees for additional staff, do you see that?
That's there for in case somebody wants something, to let them know what those things are. Right now, there's not been any requirement for for me to go out and bring in any drafting technicians, secretaries, analysts, or anything. It's just all stuff I've done or I've done in conjunction with GTUA. I will tell you, there's some things that I suggest that the cities do themselves, frankly, that you can do cheaper. I'm not looking to do extra work. But I just put that in there just to be upfront with everybody.
Any further questions from Mr. Pastor?
If we don't make this monthly payment, how does that affect our alliance, our entry into the alliance?
Technically, it does not affect your entry into the alliance. That's up to the other cities.
Okay.
What they have done is structure an arrangement. Everything that they do through me. And candidly, I think it'd be very difficult for somebody to be an active member and not do that. Although, if that were to be the case, I would say we need to go back to the alliance and rework the arrangement some way. I'm not, I just be candid with you. It's your participation there is meant to be a joint effort with the other communities so that you each get benefit by working with the other ones. And the only way that they figured out to do this at this point, given the fact that nobody's got extra staff or extra resources or extra people that are technical that know these particular issues, is to contract with me to accomplish it. The expectation on a couple of the cities, a couple of them have asked me to work more hours than I really can commit to them at this point. I may commit more hours to a couple of them later, once I clear out some other contractual obligations I've got. A couple of them have indicated they wanted me to commit to them for a 5 to 6 year arrangement. And at this point, we've not done that. We've done it through the year 2003, let everybody reassess. If you like what we did, we'll continue some arrangement. If you don't like it, we'll quit it. I don't want to lock people into something you're not happy with. Either we accomplish objectives for your community, or you don't need to spend the money, pure and simple.
What is our exit? As in, are you committed to the 2 years?
Committed to basically the end of 2003, the way it's written.
Okay, so we're...
Check and see if there's not an expiration date that says something about December 2003. And I'm not looking at your agreement that you've got in front of you, but
I didn't see one on it.
There's no date at all on it.
well, I may have just left that blank to let y'all put that in. That's what the other ones are, and I would suggest you do the same thing. That way you'll all be on the same basis.
And you started this November 2001?
Pardon?
You started this November 2001?
I actually started with the cities in February of 2002. Some of the drafts were probably dated 2001 originally. We did not kick any of the efforts off until February.
So this contract would go through the end of 2002 and into 2003.
My suggestion would be that your motion would limit it to the same as the other cities, which I'm going to look at one of them and see what it says, and just to verify, but I believe it ends December 31st, 2003.
So that'd be roughly $9,600.
I believe so.
I recommend that we approve this, yes. And then you make the motion, yes, you can put the stipulation ending December 31st, 2003. No.
There, I'm looking at the Melissa contract, and it is January 31st, 1 month longer than I said. If you want it to be the same as they are, January 31st, 2004.
2004.
Melissa Van Alstine and Anna have already signed the contract, is that correct?
And Melissa Van Alstine and yes, all three of them.
So the motion right now is to approve the payment of $600 consulting fee to Don Pascal of Grayson, Holland Grayson Municipal Alliance ending January 31st, 2004. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All four? 5-4, we need to consider the appointment of Gene Norman to a 2-year library board term that is representing the city of Howe. I recommend we go with this.
We'll make the motion.
Sam? James? Any further discussion? All in favor? 5-4, none against. Next item of business is to renew the park note. I recommend we do.
I'll make the motion.
Sam? Thomas? Any discussion? All four? 5-4, none against. Next item of business is to change the names on the safe deposit box of County Independent Bank, updated to the mayor, city secretary, and city administrator.
Mayor, we can put council on it if they want to do that. I don't know how many are currently on it in the past. I would think plus that it's the city secretary, mayor, and administrator. I don't know if the council members have been on it.
Have a motion?
We also need to know, we are probably, I don't think, removing, it could know that former mayor, former city administrator, I believe Mary Lake Hunt are still on it. So we'll have to have that in the motion in the minutes, get those removed.
To remove all former city employees, city representatives. Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Sam? James? Any further discussion? All four? 5-4, none against?
Okay, what are we going to put on it? Are we going to put council members as well? No. Okay.
We put the mayor, city secretary, and city administrator. Now we have a presentation by Tim Morris on the overhead storage size cost. Good evening, Mr. Morris.
Hi.
410 storage. Y'all remember we talking about when we were talking about putting like a 500,000 gallon tank up? Me and Tim had a very extensive conversation, and I asked him to come up and basically tell y'all what he told me. It changed a lot of my thinking and stuff. That's why I asked him.
I understand that. Well, a couple of things. One is that you have a 100,000 gallon elevated storage tank which is rated for about 1,000 customers according to TNRCC, and you have 1,000 or more customers. So your tank at this time is at least marginal, if not deficient. I don't know if TNRCC has complained to you about that, but I think you can anticipate that they will at some time. I've been in touch with Kimberly Denning and his associate Todd Cade about the preparation of a grant application to help you finance a new tank. And to help him out, we need to resolve to some extent what size tank you want to put up so we can put a budget together. I've done a little bit of looking at the difference between a 200,000 gallon tank and a 500,000 gallon tank. The 200,000 gallon tank, you take all costs, administrative costs, engineering costs, you got to run a pipeline to it, you got to build a fence around it, build a road into it, things like that. You're probably looking at a project of around $450,000 total cost. A 500,000 gallon tank will probably cost you about $250,000 more. Of course, the cost will depend on the type of tank you put up and where you put it. Some locations will require more access to pipelines and roads. The type of tanks vary from the ordinary legged tank like you have over here on the hill now. They've got a single pedestal tank down at Van Alstyne, which will cost you another $100,000. Once you get in a 500,000 gallon tank and up, you can begin to look at the composite type tanks like you see as you go on south at Allen and some of the other places, the kind of the great big column with a kind of a cylindrical tank. Those tanks are competitively priced in the larger sizes. They're simply not available in the smaller sizes. At any rate, just to give you some thinking numbers, say $450,000 for a 200,000 gallon tank, and $650,000 or so for 500,000 gallons. A 200,000 gallon tank, of course, will give you enough capacity for 2,000 houses in addition to what you have. So you'll be able to triple your population with that size tank. With a 500,000 gallon tank, you'll be able to go up 7,000 houses. Now, we generally think in terms of anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 people per connection. So we're talking about with 300,000 gallons in 2 tanks, we're probably talking about serving a population of 7,500 people, perhaps more. That should give you some kind of sense of how, you probably have a sense of how soon you think you might reach 7,500 people. I don't know any better than anybody else does, but some areas will get that faster than others. Your water wells will handle about 1,300 customers. Before you fill up a 200,000 gallon tank, you're going to need some more water wells, probably a couple more. Your water system is largely 6-inch lines. You're very limited in line size, the line size. You have a limited capability for moving water from one end of the system to the other during peak demands. So you have other needs in your water system besides storage. I don't know what your financial circumstances are, but certainly those other needs are things that you need to think about when you begin to think about this $200,000 gap between these tanks. I've been in towns, I've been working in some towns closer in. Anna is one, for instance. They got into a water tank situation. They were looking at, we took bids on a 200,000 gallon tank and a 300,000 gallon tank. The price difference was $60,000. Well, they had a lot of other work to do. They had a lot of places for the $60,000 to go. We looked at their growth projection. Their growth is skyrocketing, very rapid. The other 100,000 gallon tank might have lasted them 5 years before they need to replace it. So its life, we were looking at maybe a life of 7 years for the small tank and 10 years for the big tank. Well, by the time you fill up the small tank, you're going to need a 1 million gallon tank. And so it really didn't make sense that in their situation, they needed the $60,000 now worse than they needed the 100,000 gallons in the air for those 3 years on down the road. If you're not growing very rapidly, ask yourself how long it's going to be before you go from your 2,300 people to 7,500 people. Well, it might be 20 years, it might be more or less, but those are judgments you would have to make. And so that was kind of the perspective I shared with Steve. The notion that we ought to go ahead and build bigger now because we can afford it now is not a bad notion. But you oughtn't to make that decision without understanding some of the other needs that you might have. Obviously, you understand your resources and where you might want to, how you might want to best allocate those resources.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Is there any further questions from the commission? Thank you, sir. The next item is to approve completion of the garden at the Howe Historical Society. Has Mr. Cole got with you on that and everything's going along fine? And
Yep.
was it said last week?
They're not complete, are they?
No.
If it's not complete, we need to table this item. Next item is to approve the letter for confirmation of the Howe Historical Society liaison building to year 2067. Mr. Collins brought this to our attention. I recommend that we approve this. Have a motion? Approve the letter for confirmation of Howe Historical Society liaison building to year 2067.
This relates for me,
Yes, it has been paid up in full to 2067. There's just no letter from the city in regards
That's
to
the
that.
letter you gave us in the... that's the
Yes,
letter
your
you
copy is
got.
in there. Thomas. Jane. Is there any further discussion? All four? 5-4, none against. Consider appointment of David Patterson as reserve police officer.
Yes, we were lucky enough to get him to come to us for a reserve position. He's currently driving a truck for a company out of Sherman. He was working for the the Cook County Sheriff Department for 2 years as a field deputy. So he's got experience. We need some reserves. I think it'd be good. I've already checked his background. Everything looks good.
Make the motion.
Sam, motion.
Second.
Thomas. Jerry. All four? 5-4, none against. The next item we need to table until we have further discussion with the Historical Society on returning the bell and the wooden trim to the Howe Historical Society. We've not had any discussion with them. Next item is we have a request by Martha Dorman of Encore to discuss the current electric and gas franchise fees. Specifically, consider accepting a compromise settlement and release agreement between the city and TXU Electric and TXU Gas. Consider an ordinance amending the existing electric franchise between the city and Encore in regards to the electric franchise. And consider an ordinance amending the existing gas franchise between the city and TXU Gas. Right?
That's correct.
Martha?
Mayor and members of the council, I come before you tonight to discuss 3 different options that you have. And I want to give you a little history and then go through each one of these and see what you would like to do and the monetary amount that you would like to receive. And I hate the chief left because he would like to hear this monetary amount. I thought, you may not let me back in town with a check without holding me hostage. So, first of all, back in June of 2000, the city of Denton filed a case against TXU Gas in regards to the way the franchise fees were figured. We currently have a franchise with you, the city, both gas and electric, that deals with allowing us to use the right-of-way to put our facilities in, our poles and our wires, to do that type of construction. What they felt like, and what we do is for that, we pay you a percentage of our gross receipts, and that is the money that we receive back from the customer from, it used to be the sale of electricity and the sale of gas. Now it's on discretionary charges. and on amount of electricity carried on the electric side. So we entered into the case. The city of Denton also put out a letter, which your city received, to ask to join into the case. There were 35 other cities that did join into the case against us in the way that the franchise fees were figured. As a result of that, it went into litigation, and from that, an agreement was reached and has been settled with those 36 cities. There were also 25 other cities that were questioning it. They signed a letter stating that whatever came out of that case, they would be able to take advantage of those benefits. And that has been done, and now we're going through our system and offering that settlement to each one of you cities in our area. Those 36 cities received a lump sum amount, and that was between them and their attorney how that was settled. With you, there is 2 formulas that were set up, and we're looking at the year January 1st, 2000 to December 31st, 2000 as to how that formula is applied to the settlement in regards to y'all. The compromise settlement and release agreement spells this out. It asks that if you do decide to take advantage of the amount that we have, you will not hold us responsible for any of the, or go back and join any cases after December 31st, 2001. In the settlement, this gives you the opportunity, which brings up the settlement amount. On the gas side, it would be a settlement for $3,407.15, and on the electric side for $1,466.07, for a total amount of $4,873.22. In return for that, you would sign this agreement saying that you release us from any liability past December 31st of 2001. It also gives you the opportunity to go in and amend both the gas and electric franchises. And those are the 2 ordinances that are also in the packet that are referred to in the compromise release and settlement release agreement as Exhibit A and Exhibit B. Basically, what those say is we'll do the electric side first because it's the easiest.
Martha, let me interrupt you. We don't get a copy of those ordinances.
Did I not send it to y'all? How did I mess up? Last night I tried to get Tom Bean to sign Howe's, Knollwood, so.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. I'm sorry, I thought they were in with that agreement that I gave y'all.
I don't
apologize.
have the agreement either.
Well, that was when I came to visit with you that day, with you and Steve.
Okay.
Did I not give you a copy of that in that
I don't
packet?
believe so.
With this letter, it was attached to this letter.
Okay.
It and the 2 ordinances.
Okay.
I can get you, Steve can make you a copy. What the ordinance allows you to do is on the electric side, it allows you to recover discretionary charges that we now charge the customer in regards to the franchise fee. Those are rolled in. On the electric side now, it is done, our franchise is figured on the amount of electricity that we transport for the retail energy providers. And we have discretionary charges that we charge them for the fees that we do, such as the activities that we perform, such as going out and setting a meter, going out and removing a meter, those type of activities that are now in our discretionary charges. That amount of $1,466.07 is not recoverable from the customers out here in the city of Howe. That has to be done at a time when Encore goes before the Public Utility Commission to make a change in their tariffs, and that would be rolled into the tariffs. At that time, then it would be recoverable from the customers that are out there. That makes the electric side very easy. On the gas side, there are certain charges that we have in there. Those charges that would be rolled in would be both the connect and the disconnect, return check charges, anything that we receive revenue from. The CIAC, which is the cost in aid of construction, that is where we know what the total amount of the project is going to be. We know what we can invest in it, and the difference between what we invest and the total cost is recovered from the customer. That's the cost in aid of construction. So that also would be rolled in there, and then any other amendments that would be revenue would also be rolled into that. That is the amendment that would allow you to increase the amount of franchise that you as a city would receive. The $3,407.15 is recoverable from our customers. It will be done over a 3-year period of time. They have told us that it could even go to 5 years. So it is a very small amount that your customers or your citizens would see in our customers. We currently have 581 gas customers in the city of Howe, and that can change very, very easily as we see more people moving into this area. There are 1,102 electric customers, for curiosity. But this amount of money would be recovered from the customers that we now serve in the city. And the charges that we add into the franchise would also add to that. By looking at it spread over a 3 to 5 year period of time, it's a very small amount that would go back to the customer. The other opportunity that you have is you currently have a franchise with us that states you receive 2% of our gross revenue. You have the opportunity at this time to increase that to 4%. So that would increase the amount of franchise also that you receive from us in a payment. So you have the opportunity to kind of write what you want in the ordinance. You can increase the ordinance from 2 to 3 or 2 to 4%. You can include the discretionary or the charges as laid out with the return check fees, the CIAC, and those type of things. You can also go in there. We currently just recoup that from the residential and commercial customer. It can go to the industrial customer if they should ever move into your area. Along with that would be third-party gas and transportation of gas. Those are charges that larger cities right now that have industrial customers, they also recoup that in a franchise fee. We have to go in the right way to build facilities to serve these major customers. So it stands to reason that we would have a franchise fee that we would return to the city for that, and it would be recovered from those customers. Right now you don't have any of those, but you will in the future. We know that as we grow in Grayson County. So this gives you the opportunity to put that in the franchise so it would be in place when those customers do come in. So basically what you're seeing before you is both an electric amendment and a gas amendment, and includes all of that. You'll notice at the bottom it says of the first page, the revenue received by the company from the sale of gas to all classes of customers. That would be the change from just the residential and commercial customer. It would include all of those classes of customers. If you do the industrial, you need to do the transport of gas, because that's how their contracts are written when they purchase gas. Third party is how we transport that gas from whoever they choose to purchase it from. So those three kind of go together. Then the other option is to change it from 2% to 3 or 4%, and to add those other revenues, miscellaneous charges that I talked about. The compromise settlement and release agreement, if you review that and look at that and agree to that, this is what gets you the money. We can send that to corporate, and we can request the funds on that. The ordinances can be done separately. They don't. If you want to do it all at one time, that's fine. If you want us to come back and do the ordinances, we can do that. There's not a time limit on it per se. It just needs to be done in a close proximity to the agreement. But these do not hold up you receiving any type of funds. And And I will tell you that some cities took some of the funds, or they took one side of the funds, or they didn't take any at all. So it's whatever you as the council feel like you want to do for the city. The amendments that do deal with these miscellaneous charges is a one-time payment, and it will be paid once a year before April the 30th. It will be paid separately from the current franchise fee that we pay. That's all I have. I'll be glad to answer any questions. Steve, they all have this in. Now, if you'd like to table it and have me come back next month, I can do that also. Would you like to table that, Sam? Okay. I'll tell you what, Steve, if they want to table it, then let me give you this. That would be the Sam has made a motion to table this until next month. James is second. All four? 5-4, moving right along. Thank you, Martha. The next thing, American Communication, is we did receive an encore refund, which you have in your packet, which has already been transferred into the general fund. Is that correct? And it was about $88,000, which she was just talking about, that we received on our franchise. We have a baseball team letter from one of the all-star teams, 910 age group, thanking us for letting them practice at the softball field in preparation for the all-star tournament. And then we also have the lawsuit from Life Tech EMS. All cities are in agreement, and Joe Brown is going forward with that, and we're just waiting to see what Life Tech can produce to pay us money. Is there any other business before the council? We have a motion to adjourn. Sam? Thomas, all four? This meeting is adjourned.
Mayor, I'd like to say it's a real waste of people's time for y'all to ask for opinions from the people of the city when the majority of the council have already made their mind up what they want, and they're not listening to the people. That's the reason people don't come up here.
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Thank you. And I want that report.
And go back to the drawing
It's your
board.
vote. That's
I
what
make a
I
motion that
recommend.
we reject the bid and go back to the drawing board.
I second that.
And Jerry second. All in favor?
That's all we need to do, right?
Yeah.
Just reject it.
Yeah, just reject and then he can pick up.
Right. Can I get something though officially from the city that y'all have?
We'll get you the minutes as soon as she types them in the morning.
That'd be good.
Okay.
That'd be great.
We thank you for coming, Bobby. I know
All right.
you'd a lot rather been at home probably, but I appreciate you taking time to fiddle with it.
Well, I think it's important enough.
You gotta be on that camping trip.
Yes.
I bet he had.
Feel free to call me if you have any more questions on it. Thanks, Bobby.
The next item on the agenda is the ambulance service agreement, and in the budget session, I more or less brought y'all up to date where we were, and answer, I think OB had one question in the budget session that we looked at was with the Northeast Texas Ambulance Service, it kept the transfers and put them in. I went up and talked to the judge this week, and he said that he had extended them an invitation after they came first in, and then after we had this other meeting, he extended them an invitation and they did not reply. So, I think what what y'all may like, because we got to have ambulance service. I don't, any way to look at it. Sherman has said they will help us in case of emergency. If somebody calls from down here, they're going to come pick them up. They can't help our neighbors because it's too far. But it looks like it's going to cost us probably at least 200%. I wouldn't think he'd tell us over to finish out this year more than what we've been paying. Which means that then I put divide 4,000 by 3 months. See what you get. $1,333 a month is what we're paying now, okay? If the consultant in his meetings with rural metro can persuade them to stay here for what he estimated that he thought they would, it's not the figure they gave us the first time, but they gave us a higher figure the first time. But anyway, it would cost us 200% more. How about 200%? 26.
Cost us $8,000 a quarter rather than $4,000.
That'd be $2,700 a month. So they promised to give us the service through August at the regular price. We sent in a prorated amount. We paid them for this quarter, but we didn't send in September. Okay, if they stay September, October, November, December, you're looking at 4 months times $2,666 a month. So you're looking at the last quarter would be $8,000 instead of $4,000. The last month would be $2,700 instead of $13,000. So you're looking at virtually $9,000 something to finish the year out, aren't you? Am I figuring right? What the content of this is not disrupting the service. If we could find somebody else that would come in and say, yeah, we'll control you until January 3rd, and they had a decent response time, I'm sure they would, the county group would take it. But I don't foresee that. What I'm asking y'all to do, if we get back to the consultant, he says, I need to tell him something. Would y'all be in agreement to pay them for 200% more for the last 4 months and give me 4 more months to try to find a permanent ambulance service, even if they have to organize them? There's a possibility that the hospital district would make an ambulance service. We don't know that. They're still working with it. Wilson Jones came and talked with us. They had 3 people from Wilson Jones. One of the board came, Bill Benton was there, and the administrator of the hospital. They wanted to see what we had been spending, all of us, and all that kind of stuff. We haven't heard any more from them, but it probably would be just about it. I don't know where you could get 3 hospitals together to do that or not. But anyway, what I would like to do when I go into these meetings with this consultant in the county, and I have been appointed by Precinct 1 to be the representative for Precinct 1. The other 3 precincts have an appointee. Also, I've been going as a mayor 5-6 meetings already. I'd like to know kind of how y'all feel. If we have to pay 200% more to get covered through December, are you willing for me to say, yeah, I'm sure Howe do it? Or you want to say no?
What's the other towns doing? What's the Van Alstyne and Guthrie?
They're doing the same thing we are. They're looking.
They hadn't done anything yet.
There's nothing to do with it. We're all in. We formed a coalition, OB.
I understand that.
And we're all in it together.
But they got to vote. pay the extra too?
Oh, yeah, they would have to do the
What
same
have
thing.
they done? Have they,
I don't know. I'm not asking you to vote for me to sign a contract. I'm asking you to give me your knowledge. If you want me to speak to the council, would you be willing for me to say, yeah, we'll work with you? That right.
Can we say that we will consider doing that?
Yeah, that's all.
Not saying that
I'm
we
not gonna
definitely will.
I'm not gonna sign a contract till
Right.
you guys sit here and tell me that you want me to do it.
Right. So you're saying that if we'll give you the authority to go back and say, hey, we're willing to consider paying the extra 200% at this point until the end of the year, and then still work on trying to find something else going on,
See,
right?
here's what it amounts to. When you got Whitesboro, you got Gunner, and you got Collinsville, you got all these places, you got Van Alstyne, and White Ride and Bells are also involved in this because they've been doing their own private service, and it'll probably be an advantage to them in the end. I don't know, but anyway, when you're all together and you got your representatives there, if you don't know which side of the mouth to talk out of,
Right.
it's
That's what I was
confusing.
trying
I
to
just want to know if y'all feel like that you want me to try to bargain for the extra ambulance service at or near that rate. I mean, we won't sign anything.
this time, I'm really not agreeing with doing anything.
I think you're going to have to do with them for the rest of the year, don't you? If
Or
we can
not
get
have
them to
any
do it. I'm
ambulance
serious.
Well, you know, we may do it, and, you know, we got another 30 days or so to make that decision. But, those people, you know, what I really resent, and what I want people to know that I resent, is they're the ones that's pulling out and leaving us. You know, and then coming back and asking us to pay double the money for
wait a
that
minute.
stuff.
Oh, they gave us a 90-day notice. That's what our contract calls for. We can give them a 90-day notice and pull out, if they could give us one. They gave everybody in Grayson County a 90-day notice that they were going to be leaving so we could go and try to get ambulance service. And we started meeting right then. Okay, we did not, when we got 2 months into this thing, we weren't any further along where we started. That's when we wanted to hire the consultant. So they said, hey, we're not gonna have anything in Texas but Arlington and Fort Worth. But we're not gonna leave y'all like that. You've been working trying to get somebody, we'll stay through August. So we didn't ask them to come back. What our consultant has done, he's gone and got all our figures and got all the Medicare and Medicaid stuff, and he's looked to see how much it would take for them to operate in the black instead of the red. I mean, a break-even cost. Your county is strode out, so is the biggest problem. They're not getting Sherman Denison. So
what is Sherman? What is this consultant getting from? What's he getting from Sherman when he talks to them?
he's not talking to Sherman. They wouldn't meet. They met the first time and they said, no, we're happy with our ambulance service. Like it is, we bought 2 new ambulances and we're going to equip them, and the reason we'll equip them, if y'all get in the bind and we could help those who are close enough, we would help them with these other 2 ambulances. But they don't want any part of it.
But I understand in Northeast Texas, that was one of the things, if they could have transfers from Sherman, that they would be interested in.
They didn't say that they would take it if they could get the transfer. They said it would be more inviting. Be more inviting if whoever comes in here took that. But the judge told me day before yesterday that he got back in touch with them and left them an invitation to come back, and they didn't get back with him. So I don't know. What I'm saying, I don't think you're going to do any different than rural metro for the rest of the year. Unless somebody here in Sherman or Denison wants to buy these 3 ambulances and their personnel and run it themselves for the rest of the year. That's the reason I'd like.
How much would that cost?
Huh?
How much would that cost?
I have no idea. Probably more than rural metro's getting now. I don't know. I have no idea. the consultant just took the books and the payments, even for Medicare and Medicaid, and did all this stuff, and he said, I think they wanted $50,000 a month more day one when they said we're pulling out. He came back and said, I think that maybe we could get it for $40,000 a month more. That's what he was going to go to them with. Then he's coming back to us and tell us what happened. I want to be in a position to at least be favorable or unfavorable. You know, I don't want to go up there.
So what you're saying is you, when you have this meeting, you want to be able to say with the other 3 or 4 precincts, whatever it is, that
if that's all that's left, yes.
Yeah. But if not, then you won't be able to say, no, we're not interested in doing that.
That's right. I'm not asking y'all to put a lot of trust in me. I
understand what you're saying.
I just want to know which way.
And what you're saying is these other people are making this same decision.
Right, they're going to have to. They were going to go to their councils and talk to their council members. But I can't do that. I can't do that in a mayor's report or something. I've got to do it in a legitimate item business to ask you. Okay, y'all want to
If we agree to do that, then you're saying that we've got basically 4 months to find us somebody else.
Right. What I would do, here's what I was going to do. If we go through this thing and it sounds close to what they told us they thought they'd get it for. If the other guys have talked to their people, we kind of more or less know what to give him rather than come back and make a special council meeting before any contract was signed or any permanent agreement was made. You guys would have to make it on the price. Okay? I just want to know how to talk to them.
Was that 1333?
Double
that.
It doubled.
I think our commissioners they need to apply a little pressure on the Sherman, you know. The county's spending a lot of money with Sherman, you know.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I don't know what it will take to
pressure, somebody's got the money and steal too. It really is.
You know,
they met with us. They met with us the first time we met. They said after they got in the thing and heard what the county was supplementing, what we were paying on, they went around the table and they said, we're not interested, we're going to keep what we got. Then it's did the same thing.
When they get $90,000 a year from the county already for their ambulance district.
Well, Van Alstine's getting 78. Whitesburg's getting 116, I think, in these ambulance districts. One in Van Alstine, one in Whitesburg, one in Sherman. But no, it's high dollar stuff. Y'all tell me what you want to do and I'll do it. If you say forget it, go up there and tell them you can't say anything, I'll do that. You know, I just want to know where we won't waste another 2 weeks. I'd like to know whether you're interested or whether you're not.
I'd be interested in knowing what everybody else is doing. I mean, I'd hate to be the only one that says, yeah, we're all for the 200% increase, and then everybody else says, well, we ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well,
what's your gut feeling on the rest of them? Just,
I think they're going to do it.
You do? Because they don't have no choice.
They don't have no choice. But anyway, I'm not asking.
I understand that.
Special.
Yeah. I know that.
They might say 210%. They
yeah, I understand that. And that's something that we'd have to come back later on and vote on, right?
If we get it together with them and they agree, yeah, we'll do this, then I'll come to the council.
Right.
If we have to call a special meeting and get the contract signed.
Okay.
You just need something to tell the consultant whether to proceed or not.
I want to know if we're going to play ball or if we're going to get out of the park. That's all I want to know. Don't fence me down to where there's no need of me going and spending my time with these things if I don't know what you want to do.
Right, I understand.
Well, we're going to have ambulance service.
Y'all do something, give me something. Either say, keep your mouth shut or.
You know, I don't like the deal with rural metro, but the thing is, you know, we're in this thing with Van Alstyne and Gunner. And, we're gonna have to support them, you know, if it gets right down to it, we have to do it, and we really don't have a choice, but, cause we could sit here and say no, and Sherman's I think Sherman won't serve us, but the thing is we got two neighbors here, and it's,
But they wouldn't serve us
we
all the
need-
time.
we
It'd
need
just
to
be
support
temporary
them.
basis, wouldn't it? Sherman would serve us on a temporary basis.
They said if we had, they got an emergency call, they'd come. They had a wreck down around Gunner here a few months ago. And we had a kid over here that broke his arm in school, and they called Rural Metro, and they said, we can't come. We got all the ambulances in Gunner. Sherman jumped on the car, and here they come. I mean, they're gonna do that. Perhaps, they can't do that for White Riding and
Yeah, but they're
Whitesburg,
not
you
gonna
know?
do it for us all the time,
No,
forever.
no,
It's just part-time, temporary.
I make a motion that we will
Just let me bargain with them.
consider.
I'll
That's all
second.
I wanna do. Okay.
I'll
We got a
second.
motion and a second. All in favor? Raise your hand. Okay. Next item,
Should've
consider
told me that 30
bid
minutes
for 88 Ford cab. I have the bids right here. Somebody have a knife?
Got a calculator.
Care about this roughly over? I'm not gonna read them. I'm gonna let our eloquent city secretary take care of that.
Say something? Can I, it's just a suggestion. Why come that we don't buy an ambulance, have it here with a volunteer fire department, use Sherman as a backup, like Preston Peninsula and Pottsboro have done for years?
I guess because if the county is gonna supplement it, they figure it's better to have ambulance district like Van Alstyne, Gunner, and Howe all together, and Anna, they got Anna involved in that too. It needs to be a bigger area.
Well, it's just a suggestion, because if we rely on Sherman, we don't have the response time.
That means you'd have to have a dispatcher around the clock, you'd have to pay for the ambulance, you'd have to pay out all that other money too, which is a lot of money.
Well, I know it's a lot of money.
I'm not saying it's not impossible, I don't think we're at that yet. I think we may grow into it.
Just a suggestion.
What do you got here?
Got a bid from Ed Sharp for $132 and a bid from Jimmy Williams for $457.50.
$457 from Mr. Williams and $132
Yes.
from Ed Sharp. Which do y'all want to accept the higher one or reject them both, or what do you want to do? Ray, sir,
I'd accept.
y'all want to accept the high bid?
It's an 88. This is a truck that we bought from Grayson Collin Electric in 93 or 4. It had 140 some odd thousand on it. We've used it since then. We have taken the utility bed off of it and put it on the 96 Ford 3/4 ton pickup that we have. This is only the chassis and cab.
We'll make a
Motor.
motion to accept the high bid. OD moves, Carrie
I'll
seconds.
second.
All in favor? 4-4. We gotta move up. We lost too much
35.
time on the consider appointment of Lonnie Whiting to the Howe Police Reserve. Roy, you want?
Lonnie Whiting has applied an application for the police reserves here in Howe. He would be a new officer. We'll be training him. He's 23 years old. He lives at Sherman with his mom and dad. He's been currently working for the Walmart Corporation there, 2 years in Denison, about 2 years in Sherman, with a good, excellent work record. He's been working there 4 years for Walmart. He's got a good, steady work record. While he was working there holding down a full-time job, he also paid out of his pocket to go to the police academy full-time. Wasn't part-time, so he's working at night and went to the police academy in the daytime. And whatever else time he had to sleep, I'm not really for sure. He's certified in pepper mace and certified in baton. we'll be training him. He won't be working by himself any. And now we're in a position now that we can train some decent reserves and have some reserves here that maybe later on down the line, if we have an officer quit or leave the department, we'll have a pool to draw from. So that's pretty much about him.
He's local.
Yeah, he's local kid.
So I don't think there's anything to worry about, but you guys have to make the appointment.
So you recommend him where he wouldn't be on here?
You got it.
Have a motion.
I'll second that.
Obey moved, Jim seconds, all in favor. 4-4, none again. The next item is consider request from Chief Kesey for the patrol car on August the 1st for this National Night Out. No objection to that, I'm sure.
Just a national night out like we had last year. We'll be doing the parade type convoy like we did last year through the different cities. We'll be starting in Sherwood Shores this year. They've asked to be the starting point. They're going to have a big get together out there, and then we'll move down through Whitesboro like we did last year, and we'll come in through Howe, probably in the neighborhood of about 6:15, 6:30. I talked to the mayor about he's heading up our get together here at the Memorial Park up here, and so we'll be bringing it through here, and it'll be on August the 1st, which will be in the evening, and it'll be one car, probably me or probably John, one of us.
Well, before we go on this, let me just say this. We have a council meeting that night for a public hearing, and we did not know this when Roy, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
We're going to come in here and do our public hearing, and if the other can wait till budget night, we won't schedule up the budget thing. We'll let y'all, if you want to, we'll recess and go over there and then come back and finish up, or we'll just put it off another week for the budget meeting. But I think we need to back and support our police department like we do our fire department, and I don't know.
I second that motion.
Anyway, Kerry made the motion and Jim second. All in favor. And I expect, and I would be happy to see y'all over there that night, because if we're not brave enough to come and face the heat, I don't know what anybody else is. But I'm going to bake cookies all day. And we're going to have cookies, and we're going to have 2 big kegs of iced tea, tea and ice, and that's the best thing I can think of to drink is iced tea.
That's it.
If people will come and just be neighborly and say, how you doing? You live on my block, but I haven't seen you in 5 years. You know? We need that once in a while, and this is a good opportunity to do it. The girls are going to help me, and we're going to put out some flyers.
I was going to say Barbara's doing a flyer, and she's...
Well, if we can get back, we had a man that was going to, we're going to get to do some entertainment, free, we hope. If we get the entertainment and get everything on the flyer, then I think we can have some kids or somebody to put them door to door, nothing else. But we just want to emphasize on that this is your city police department, this is your county law enforcement, and we just like to come down and salute them, just like we do the fire department and these other departments. So y'all try to come. Okay. Can I skip? Can I go by? We get voted on that, didn't we? Okay. Can I go by the record service and take care of this last item first, and then come back to it, so we'll know how much time we're going to spend here? I'd like to consider the nomination of Herschel Hoganson to the Greater Texoma Utility Authority Board of Directors.
Is he any kin to the one we have?
I'm sure he is. But they may not be, you know, out of the same batch. I don't know. He's from Buffalo. I know that. That's who they're recommending. He's the only one actually that I think that agreed to take the position. So, y'all do what you want to. If you give me a motion, we'll go with it. Just vote it down.
I'll go.
Have a motion. Jerry, you gonna second? No. You're not. Anybody else gonna second?
Who's this guy?
Oh,
his daddy.
Oh, is it?
He was Kimbo.
I think it's his daddy or uncle, but it's not him, you know?
No, it's not him.
You can't look at one person and say, I'm gonna vote.
I'll
this
second it, I don't know
you got the same name. Because, you know, somebody might do my son that way, and I wouldn't want that to happen just because they're mad at me.
I'll second it.
Okay, Carrie made the motion, and Jimmy seconded. All in favor, raise your hand. We have 3, 4, against? Abstain. Okay. 3, 4, and 1 abstention. Now, we can come back and consider the request from Ty Senior to discuss the record service. I know why Price is here, because we talked about this, and he and I have talked about it. And I don't know where y'all know all the circumstances or not, but when Price was sick, his son, Rick, was his power of attorney, and he wanted to take Price off of the rotation for the county because of his health. And when Price and I got working on this thing, and I did not have a misunderstanding with you, Price. I hope you did with me, but I told Price, I said, look, when he dissolves the power of attorney and gives it back to you, then I will ask Roy Kesey to put you back on the rotating list, and we did. What the problem is now, you tell them what the problem is.
Speaking about a rotation, I've never been on a rotation. The only thing I've been on a rotation with is with DPS in Grayson County.
Well, that's what I was talking about.
That's the only thing I've been on
That's what we're
rotation
talking
with.
about.
Of course, the city of Howe, I've always pulled all of them for the city of Howe.
You tell them what you want
Well, I'd like
from the police
for
department or
it to
anybody
be back like it was, where I pulled them all for the city of Howe. And I don't think it's fair to have somebody else coming in from some other town pulling the cars when if I can pick up a few dollars there because I have a lot of money invested in it, and then my taxes went up another $1,000 a year, and being as I'm a tax-paying citizen of Howe, and I feel like that I should be at first in line there. And or calling somebody else out of some other town, if I wasn't available or sick or something, it'd be a different situation. But I've been pulling for all of the other departments. Oh, and I don't see why not how.
You want to say something, Jerry?
I don't have a problem, just like Price is talking about doing this, but, you know, Price, and I don't have anything against you or anything like that. It's just one of these deals. What if we have another record service in town, and that's cutting out the...
It's a rotation.
That's cutting out the, is that going to be a rotation
It'd
with
be
you?
a rotation, it'd be rotation like it used to be, my boy. We used to have 2 records here.
Okay, well, I'm just asking you, I mean, you're asking for the exclusive.
We had 2 records. And each, if I was called, then the other one was called. You know, they took turns.
Okay, then what are you, I mean, what are you asking? I mean, I'm just asking, what are you asking? You know, I mean, are you asking
Well,
for the first out?
I haven't pulled any at all since last year for the city of Howe.
Okay, let's, Roy, you want to comment on, you're the one, your people are the ones that make the calls, I think, unless it's DPS. What does DPS do if it's in Howe? Do they rotate?
Well, Price is on the rotation for DPS. He's on the rotation for Grayson County. When Price went into the hospital, his son came to me and said, I have power of attorney over Price. His equipment has been sold, and I do not want him driving a wrecker, period. His health will not hold up. Well, we didn't appoint a specific person. What we did was we went to Grayson County and said, we are going to use your rotation, which is a fair thing to do. That way, if there's any other record services in town, if they want to get on the rotation and meet the state requirements and the county requirements for insurance and equipment and bonds and whatever, well then they have that freedom to do that, and then they can pull off the county rotation or the state DPS rotation also. So we got on that rotation list. Price has pulled some stuff for DPS on the rotation list. He's pulled some stuff for the county. Now, I don't know whether he's actually pulled anything specifically on the county rotation for the city of Howe, but he's on it. And if if his name comes up as the top of the list, when we ask for a south end rotation record, I think there's Price, about 8 of them on there.
I don't know, because
It's either 8 or 9.
I've got a letter down there, and Highway 56 draws a line, and everything from 56 south is on
the south end.
On the south end, and everything 56 north.
There's like about 8. It's either 8 or 9.
I've made both ends, north and south.
There's either 8 or 9 records.
What Price is saying, and I think this is what you told me last time I talked to you, and I was talking about the county rotation. I told you, if you wanted all of Howe's business, you really need to talk to these people, because I don't feel like the way things were and with the record and everything, that I ought to take it on myself and try to dictate what we all do. I think it needs to be knocked around, discussed, and talk about the whole thing. What he's wanting is all of Howe. He don't want to be on a rotation.
I need all of Howe in order to get enough business to pay my insurance and the expenses, because it's very expensive, whether you know it or not, to operate one. The insurance and the upkeep and all of it. It's very expensive.
Do you still want to be on the rotation
No,
for the
I don't
county?
want on
You just want Howe?
Yeah, he just wants to pull exclusively, the only person in the city of Howe to pull wrecks, cars, wrecks, anything the police department does. I don't agree with that. By having the rotation the way it is now, it gives everybody a chance at whatever there is here. Also, it makes everybody meet a standard.
Roy, those other people are not city taxpayers of Howe,
Well,
and they're not paying your
Well,
salary.
I'm sorry, Price.
They're not
But
paying,
this is the way,
pay your salary.
this is the way I see it. It gives everybody that chance. It helps all the drivers with their records and their trucks have better equipment. They have to meet the state, the county requirements, and
Does Talent and Van Alstyne get all their city calls?
yeah, I believe he does. Yeah,
he pulls all
That's
theirs.
what you're asking for from him.
The same thing here is what Van Alstyne's got.
I can't see if let's say we had another record service here in town. I mean, you're asking for a pile of paperwork to keep track of whose time it is to call which record back and forth, and then if you miss the wrong call, the other one gets mad. So
Yeah, we never did it before. We had it before that way. We had 2 records before. We got a long fine.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, what if me or somebody come in and put in a record? Okay, and you got exclusively Howe. Okay, where does that leave? Where would that leave me?
You come to council and say, I want on the rotation with the other man.
Okay.
That's what it means.
Then that's what I want.
That's what we did years ago, because they both lived in the city of Howe, and they both paid Howe taxes. And we thought we ought to support the Howe business. That's what we used to do. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Price, didn't you come before the council when after Bob Zivik took over? Was it after we lost the other ambulance service or when? But I remember you coming before the council and asking the same thing. Years ago, 10 years, 9 years ago or so.
I don't recall that far back.
But anyway, it's going to have to be their decision.
Okay, do you want the record service?
Okay, if you're gonna give it to him, I want to be on the rotation for Howe.
Okay, you pass all state?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you, Roy, when you say, like you said, rotation for Howe, is that, I mean, if we have an accident down here and the next man in Sherman is...
Yeah, well, the way the county...
send one out of Sherman down here?
Well, the way the county does it is they take applications to be on the county rotation list. They've got about 8 or 9 records right now that are on, or companies that are on that list. They just put them on the list. And then if, for instance, let's say Van Alstyne down here says they want the next county rotation on the south end record, well, they send them to the top of the list. Everybody else moves up 1. let's say Bell says, send us whatever. Well, everybody moves up one. It depends on how many records they call or how many they need. They may move up one position or two or three positions. So it's a round robin constantly, all around and around and around like that.
Basically, if you need a record, your record may come out of Sherman.
Well, yeah, anybody south of 56.
But,
Okay.
The boundary line is 56.
It could come out of Bell's, right.
No,
that's
not Bill.
Yeah, you
That's
gotta
what
wait and set and wait all that time.
I know.
That's what the rotation's
What I
for.
was saying is, if you have a wreck in Howe and the wrecker comes out of Sherman, and Price and Tucker is 2 blocks away,
and that's what y'all gonna have to decide.
I mean,
Do you want our Howe police to call the Howe wreckers when they are needed, or you want them to call for rotation list? That's what you need to decide.
Well, you need to try to support the business that you got here instead of calling somebody out of Sherman or Van Alstyne or some other town.
I'm for that 100%.
If you don't support the businesses that you have here, what do you got? You got taxpayers here.
you're willing to be on rotation with Tucker.
Sure.
Okay, I make the motion that we leave it in Howe. The Howe police call the Howe.
You don't want any outside calls.
No,
Y'all just want the ones in Howe, right?
the county and DPS.
Well, that's,
outside
you know,
call.
outside the city limits here is not y'all's jurisdiction anyway. That falls under the rotation with
Are you on the
DPS
rotation
and the
list?
county. I'm putting all that together right now.
So right now, you're not licensed.
Yeah, I'm licensed as far as state's
But you
concerned.
don't
I've got
have a record
ICC
yet.
authority, DOT, all that stuff and everything else. I can transport one of these to Mississippi if you want to. Right now, I just bought a record. It's in Dallas being put together. I have one down there. I have the recovery unit here on the loaner up here at the station right now. You know, but mine's in Dallas. It should have been here today, but they didn't, so we've got a loaner up here for right now.
I know where Price is gonna put his, where you gonna put your vehicles, for impound.
Okay, I've got the state, I've got an application in, to put in a vehicle, what do you call it, vehicle?
Impound.
There's another word for impound, but it's like an impound lot, right there. You know, all that has to be handled out of Austin. It has nothing to do with, city stuff, that's all state.
Well, you're gonna have to have an impound lot and be licensed for it before the council is going to say that we're gonna take your service. That's what they're saying.
Okay, but.
You don't have that yet. When you get that.
Okay, he doesn't yet either. He leased his impound deal out to
That
Cable
is
One.
on a temporary.
Well, I know it's on temporary, but
I've got cars in those other 2 buildings, Terry, whether you know it or not.
Well, I think.
I'm just going by what you were telling me the other day when I asked you.
I've got 2 other buildings.
Because I had a unit I was trying to get in
But
there.
I've got 2 other buildings over there. I've got cars that I've pulled, and 2 of them's in those.
Unless
Yeah.
they want to
Well,
pursue that.
there's another thing, you don't have to have more than one impound lot on this deal in the city of Howe, because JW Talent's the only one in Van Alstyne. Roper's dispatches, when they call in Roper's dispatches to it, they put it in JW's Talent impound.
Yeah.
Well, he
Okay, I'll redo my motion.
Right?
I hear it anyway.
Now, you don't have to have an impound, quote unquote, in order to do what he's talking about. It's just like JW Talent's down there. JW Talent, he's got the vehicle impound, he's also got the city deal. If an accident happens out yonder and it's on rotation with the county, Roper's wrecker out of Anna picks it up and everything, it goes to JW's impound. It doesn't go back to Roper's.
No, I know that. That
So-
price does the same way.
Yeah,